Hello, Stephan. I
Hi,
am
Raluca.
very glad to have you as a guest in the I Am series of interview. And we
Happy to be
are
here.
doing this to keep us fit in the communication abilities, but also to help the hospitals in Romania, which are in need right now. So I invite you all, if you find something insightful in our conversation today, hit the link and donate a small amount of money to help the hospitals. And for start, I challenge you to quickly, in 30 seconds, tell us who you are.
30 seconds. Okay. So my name is Stephan Erdman. I am a former, sometimes still actor, and definitely often a voiceover. And I'm also an online entrepreneur. I've basically created an online business, and I'm a coach that's helping predominantly men for the last 10 years to get more confident and get better at meeting women. And now I'm also helping other people to start online businesses in the way that I've done. And I think my main focus has always been confidence, because I'm a reformed, super shy guy.
Wow.
I'm counting 30 seconds in my head. Hopefully that came in at 30 seconds.
I'm
Oh,
not
and I
so
made a
strict.
film as well. So I made a film recently that was sort of autobiographical. So that was exciting. A creative side project.
Great. We would be interested to have the link or the video if it's online
Oh,
to have
it's
a
not
look.
yet.
It's not
It's
yet.
still, I can't post it anywhere yet because it's going to the festivals and things. So,
Okay.
but it's yeah.
So how is it for a former shy guy to become a dating coach? Was it a point in your life where you felt that all the confidence is inside you boosting, or was it a slow transformation? How was it for you?
Well, the need to change has always been there. I guess, when you're coming out of puberty and you're feeling terrible about everything, you kind of think it's normal. You think everybody's like that. But then you realize sometimes you meet people who are like completely different, who have a lot of confidence and happiness, and you think, oh my God, how and you sometimes you think, oh, it's just because they're overconfident, but they don't really have any reason. But sometimes you meet people who are so happy and confident and kind and wonderful that you think, how do you get to that? And so that's when I got really interested in changing myself. And then I just became really obsessed with improving myself. And then I started picking up methods and ideas and things from different people and different disciplines. And then I started forgetting them again. And then I started thinking, well, what was that thing I did in order to feel amazing that I did last month? And I've forgotten. And then I started writing them all down. And that's how I started building like a big manual resource for myself of everything that I discovered in the process. And that later turned into my biggest program. One of my biggest programs that that people are now buying, because obviously I realized at some point I wasn't so unique, and the challenges I had were shared by lots and lots of other people. And I had just been more obsessive about solving them than many other people. Or I was forced, because you can't be a raving introvert or very shy if you want to become an actor, for example. It doesn't exactly help.
Which one was first for you? The desire of becoming an actor, or the desire to get yourself out of the shell and becoming more social, interactive, confident?
Interesting. Maybe maybe one was almost driven by the other. Maybe, yes, I did get very excited about becoming an actor, but it was interesting when I was in drama school and everything like that. Of course, I wanted to do well and I wanted to become a great successful actor. But I've always used acting as a way to help myself in a way. So I would play a role, and I would have to, the way I was taught, at least, acting is not pretending to be somebody else. Acting is like finding the elements of that character in yourself and discovering those parts in yourself. So you can't fake anything. And so every time I played a role, I would be, how can I use this for myself? And then I would keep elements of that character for my life. And so that's how I used acting in a way to help myself transform. So literally, that I would play a role and I would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this and this and this, and then I'm going to steal that for my life afterwards. So I learned acting for self-development in a way. It's weird when I think about it like that. Good question.
So how is the procedure before getting into a role? What are you doing to be able to authentically play it?
It's an interesting process, and I love the process. Often you don't have enough time for it because people just want you to do something like in 3 days. But basically, you try to think. You're reading the text, you're reading the scenes, and then you have the words on the page, and they're really the last step in the process of learning the role. The words are like the last step. Really, you're taking the words, and then you are deducting from the words why you're saying the words, right? And so every word you say as the character needs to come fully justified. Like there needs to be a reason for everything that you do and say as a character. And so it's a process of what's the word? Reverse engineering, where you basically go back and then you figure out what's really important to me. What am I excited about? What do I hate the most? What's my backstory? How did I grow up? What do I love about myself? What do I hate about myself? What's my worst nightmare? And the more details you can really make real to yourself, the more fully there you are going to be as the character. So really great acting is completely effortless, and people just think, oh, that's just him playing himself or her playing herself. But you shouldn't notice that somebody is acting. That's what specifically very good American actors are usually often very good at, and in other countries as well. It's just like, I guess we see more films, and I'm comparing the Americans sometimes to the British, and I sometimes lean more towards the Americans because they just they train slightly differently. Anyway, that's actor geek.
So it's a little bit of stepping into the character's shoes, embodying and getting in deep into his
Massively.
life. So it's really a personal development process if you take this and put it in your own life, and you get so close to yourself, to know yourself and your motivation. So please tell us about your own character, Stephan, your backstory, your motivations, what interests you, what drives you.
What interests me the most, I think, is in essence how to manage yourself. I guess I would call it state management. How how we function, how I can work with my mind and my body and my feelings and everything to be in the perfect state for what I want to do at that point. I believe that my experience is that, in order to be good at something, in order to achieve something, you need to be in the right state for it. And there are many different states we can be in. And so if you can get yourself into the right state for the right activity, then you can do that thing very well and effortlessly, and you can be in flow. For example, if I want to write a book, there's no point in being highly energized and being in a go-getter state, highly communicative with people. If I want to write a book, I need to retreat into my own world. I need to become very thoughtful, imaginative, and physically passive. and just, you know, enter a different state. And if I'm in that state when I need to give a speech on stage, then I'm going to fail terribly because I'm not ready to reach out to people and communicate with people. And so it's a very different state. And that's just something maybe I've always struggled with in the past, but I found that that's really one of the secrets to being to succeeding at whatever it is you're doing at that stage, at that point. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's
So,
not.
how do you prepare yourself to get into the state that helps you the most?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways. I mean, this is what some of the things that I guess I created a lot of methods around this. And so as I was always a lot more closed off maybe in the past, that I wanted to kind of become more social and more connected and more free and relaxed and open and positive. And so I've created a lot of methods for myself and that people are using now to break those things down, to feel connected with somebody, even though I didn't know them yet, and so forth. And so there's many things. I mean, there's ways that you can change yourself, your state through physicality, through how you use your body. You can do the same through how you use your voice, through how you think, through how you decide to feel at that stage. And so I just don't know, like, there's not one way, I guess, you know, there's many different avenues towards the same goal.
Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of convergence, and maybe you have the goal in mind, the intention in mind, and all are constructing the same desired result. Or is it more?
I'm not sure whether I'm 100% following. Say again, maybe in slightly different words. So you simplify it for my childlike brain, please.
So when you say that the voice, the physical energy, the thoughts are all contributing to the state,
Yeah. And
is
they're all
it?
connected.
Yes, they're all connected, and I see them all working together for the purpose. How do you use them in order to get to that purpose? Is by first visualizing your intent, your purpose, or by choosing which one is more important and using one in a unique situation and another in another situation? Could you please
Yeah. Okay.
develop?
Yeah. I think I understand. Yes. So visualization, for example, is one tool, right? And that will be predominantly a mental thing, right? You would this is visualization is not necessary. This is not obviously a tool that you're using with your body so much. It's not a tool that you're using with your voice, but it's mainly a tool that you're using with your imagination. And so, yes, visualization would be a tool, then that would be more focused on the mind, right? But visualization might be something that you might also use before you're giving a speech. But another thing you might be using before a speech might be something that I learned in drama school in a class with Jet Malmgren, who is somebody that studied with Rudolf Laban. Do you know of him? He's kind of like a famous movement teacher,
Mm-hmm.
like a dance teacher, and so he has this process where there's like 8 different type of actions that you can take and express. So he talked a lot about the combination between movement and communication. And so let's say before I give a speech or something, I might well use for a little while a punching energy, because that's one of the nicknames for one of the types of communication styles. It's a bit like from Hamlet. Do you know this quote by Hamlet? Suit the action to the word and the word to the action.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a note to the actors by Hamlet. Sorry if I'm going all over the place, but it
makes sense.
Yeah. And so in order to be congruent as an actor, Hamlet says to the actors at the court, you should always suit your actions to the words you're saying and your words to the actions. So you shouldn't gesture like this when you're saying, be calm, children. Yeah, makes sense. So, and that's the same thing, you know, when you use certain actions physically, that they can create a certain voice energy in you as well. So before a speech, if I need to be commanding on stage, I might well be focusing a few on, you know, shadow punching, because it will put me into a state where my voice will also sound a bit more like that. And so if that's what I want to come across as, then that's what it will be. And then if I use a different action, let's say a pressing action, that's one of the other ones, then it might be a little bit more that I will speak more like this. And then you've got a more pressing sound to the way that you speak. It's like a different energy to the way that you communicate. How did you get here? Clearly, I'm being
I just
I'm being
asked
a
you about
challenging.
yourself.
Right.
So what's your
Anyway.
backstory,
Oh, I
Stephen?
see. My goodness. Yeah, my backstory, well, if you go a little bit further back, I'm actually East German. I grew up in East Germany the first 12 years, and then we sort of escaped before the wall came down. So I do always feel quite at home in some weird kind of way in Eastern Europe. So sometimes I've been in Bucharest as well, for example, and I've been doing a lot of consulting at times there for companies, and that has always been sort of making me feel strangely at home, just because I do remember the post or the communist times, and then the post-communist times. It just it has a sort of memories to it. Are you in Bucharest right now, or are you?
No, I am from Timișoara. It's in the western side of the country. So, what can you tell us about your growing up period, and what was it like to be in the Eastern Germany? And did you have a moment in your childhood that was of intensity, and that maybe changed something in your evolution, in your future?
Any, I guess. Yeah, I mean, growing up was interesting. As a kid, you don't really notice so much the restrictions. You just kind of get on with life. But yeah, I mean, I had a few sort of near death experiences, I guess. As a kid, I was a terrible child. I used to just run and do all kinds of crazy things. Like once I wanted to jump out of the window from the third floor, and my mother just about managed to get me back from the window ledge, because I thought I could just jump down and carry on walking like a cat.
So
As I said to her
luckily she
afterwards.
was
Yes.
around.
Yeah, she was around. Yeah. I think they saved my life another time when I almost killed myself with drinking boiling tea. That was another one, because I was, I got so interested in some of the liquids going around who were clearly too hot for me. And so, yeah, I did survive a few things. And so I think that's always given me a certain gratitude to be alive.
So what was the turning point of your life? Did you had one?
Turning point. I think going to West Germany when I was 12, that obviously changed many things, because I was then temporarily bullied for a while in school because I didn't wear the right clothes and all that. But then we moved to another town, and things got better from there. But I basically started again, so it was giving me a sort of just a fresh start. And at that age, it's quite nice, actually. I'm not sure it's necessarily a turning point. Oh, the biggest turning point, I guess, was a lot later. I think for me personally, the biggest turning point, if there is a turning point, it would have been when I started to like build my own business. That really changed things for me a lot, because I started to all of a sudden feel a lot more empowered and more useful to society at whole. Because as an actor, the one thing that I was always missing was to actually be able to do something creative and wonderful, and at the same time also be useful, have some sort of impact on society. Acting can sometimes feel a little bit self-indulgent, unless you do really interesting projects. And so when I starting my own business and trying to put a lot of the stuff that I've learned to use to actually help people, that really was a turning point for me, because I started to develop a lot more pride in myself, I guess. And I've always had that need to combine doing something useful with something that's also providing value back to me. So it's amazing when people send you emails saying that, they were depressed and they wanted to kill themselves. And then they did your program and they say you saved their life, or something that helped them that you said. That I'd never experienced before. But when that happened, it's really quite amazing. And you realize that actually what you say matters, and you can have a really positive impact on people. Obviously, I don't get these emails every day, but from time to time, it's great. Or people get married and they say they met their girlfriend because of me or whatever. That's nice.
Are you invited to weddings?
I know, right? I should be invited to more weddings, yes. But no, yes, I have been to a few weddings, but they've not always been subscribers.
So, what is your purpose as a businessman?
I think I guess you can probably sum it up like I'll tell you a quick story, okay? I was once at this, when I was really broke in my late 20s, early 30s. Because I was an actor, and obviously money didn't matter to me because I was so artistic, and so I was £10,000 in debt, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then all of a sudden I had to pay a tax bill, and I had to take out a loan, and it was terrible. And I was desperate for money, and so I went to one of these, seminar things, pitch seminars, where they invite you for free, and then every speaker pitches you their £2,000 program with elaborate pyrotechnics. And these speakers, they're always like very motivational, and I was never really into that. But the first speaker comes on, and I'm sitting there going, oh my god, let's see how this turns out. And the first thing he says is like, everybody that wants to make money, say I. And everybody's like, I. And I was like, not really. And I was thinking, well, is it just that I'm resisting the group pressure every time, or that I just can't commit to it? And then it kept going around in my head why I didn't just jump up and go, yes, give me money. And then I realized actually there was a nuance to it for me. For me, what mattered was to make money and feel good about the process. So I wanted to feel proud in the process of making money for myself. And for that, I realized I had to, first of all, add real value to people's lives. I had to do something that I felt good about. And I had to really feel like I'm having a positive effect on people for people to give me their money. And so I guess you could sum it up really in that thing, because I I really like working with people. I really like coaching people. I really like helping people improve their lives. And that's maybe why I also started focusing on helping shy men or shy people. Shy men was maybe more like the marketing angle, because you have to, these days, for some reason, men and women all want to be dealt with individually. And so it's easier to share with somebody from a male perspective what you've gone through. Sadly, that's how it is these days. But the process of helping somebody get more confident, overcome their challenges, and find their voice, and become free and happy in themselves. That's something that I've really always enjoyed helping people with, because I know I can. And now I really love actually helping people develop businesses, help find their voice in a entrepreneurial way. And that's sort of my new focus over the last year as well. So I might end up overworking myself, but this is a good time to try new things.
Where do you get these ideas that you implement and change your course of business? Or how did you progress from one to another and have so many direction that you are getting in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens through conversations, I think. It's weird. Every time I have a conversation with friends of mine who don't know me so much yet, and people always ask, so what do you do, right? And you tell them, well, I guess I'm an online entrepreneur. I have a YouTube channel. I have a website. People buy my programs. It helps me to travel around the world, run it from wherever I want to do. And then people are always like, oh, that sounds great. I mean, I'd love to do something like that. And then, they want to know a little bit more. And then you start to think, well, okay, that happens a few times. And then you realize, yeah, okay, so people are interested in this. A lot of people want to find another way of being more independent. I feel really blessed that I can be anywhere in the world, really, unless I'm in pandemic situation. I could run my business from other places. That's why I've been very blessed to be in East Asia a lot, where I'm very happy, met a lot of new friends, and so that's how you get these ideas. You realize that people keep asking about it, and then you realize that people want to learn how to do it. And often things that are very, common to me now are completely new to other people, like stuff that I've been fighting around with for the last 8 years. It's like, if you haven't done it before, it's difficult to imagine how easy it can be once you've figured it out.
So did you had, I see that you had experience in the getting more confident, and you took this out and give it to people in courses or trainings. Did you had experience in the management area before teaching, or how did you step into that?
You mean management in terms of some
Having
of
a
the
team and
consulting work?
no,
Because
conducting a team or
my own business.
practicing, yes.
Yes. Well, to be quite honest, I have been running it mostly only with the help of an editor some of the time, and I had a virtual assistant for a while, but she got ill, not through my fault. I didn't overwork her, and then after that, I found it hard to find somebody again that I had such a good work with, and she just moved on to another job after that. But so she didn't have time anymore. So really, I need to really get another virtual assistant again. That's my challenge right now, because it's getting too much. So to be honest, my side of my business, I've done this mostly by myself, which is not ideal. But at times, look, I'm not saying that I'm the best business person in terms of building up a business, but it's been so effortless in many ways, and it's been so flexible that I've just kept going like this. But really, now when I'm focusing more on helping people building a business as well, I really need to get at least a virtual assistant. And I'm talking to an editor at the moment that could work for me. There's somebody doing Instagram for me, but my Instagram is, I'm not the biggest fan of Instagram, so that's another story. Yes.
What is the hardest thing to teach people in companies in the management area?
The hardest thing, yeah, I mean, that's my other thing that I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of work with managers and companies, soft skills usually. Well, I can only tell you the hardest thing from those areas where I've experienced, I guess. There may be harder things, but strangely to develop empathy with employees, to really listen effectively to people when you ask them a question and they give you answers, to really pick up on what they're saying and to effectively tune in to what someone's real concern is. That seems to be one of the hardest things that I found when I've been working a lot with managers, for example, on soft skills, because that's really one area. Unconscious bias is an area that I've been doing a lot of training about, but also a lot of management skills, how to have a really helpful feedback conversation and how to give feedback and how to coach people and things like that. Mm-hmm. So really listening and really tuning in to what a person is saying and what's going on for them, that seems to be a real challenge for a lot of managers, because very often, I guess, people feel that they need to have all the answers themselves, or they don't take enough time, and there's too much pressure in other areas, or they put themselves under pressure to just talk themselves too much.
Do you use role play? Do you overlap your areas of competence from acting with training? And what's
yes.
your preferred method to?
That's how I, yes, I mean, that's a good question. That's how I got started in that area, because to be honest, I got into that area through my acting background. And so I'm working on this side. I'm working either by myself or freelance with a number of different training companies. And I got into it through things like role playing and so forth. And also something that's called forum theater. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Mm-hmm. It's a sort of an interactive way of playing out a scenario in front of people and then getting them to sort of help you resolve it. Mm-hmm. by getting their input and putting it into practice and exploring how something could be resolved or addressed in an interactive way. So those types of approaches I've used extensively. And then later on, I started becoming doing more, leading the workshops and facilitating also virtual sessions for like companies like Microsoft or Goldman Sachs or most investment banks. But also, I mean, my favorite very often still is role playing and coaching. You know, you can have a smaller group of people. They give you their scenarios that really challenge them. You're taking on the role of somebody that they have a challenging conversation with. You play, you try it out, and you can stop and start, and you can practice and give them some feedback, and work it through. You know, it's really effective for people because it's risk-free for them, apart from making a fool of themselves in that situation. But you know, you can't do that with your clients in real life. You can't take the risk necessarily to try something different. So does that give you an idea?
It gives me an insight, yes. What is your way of obtaining transformation with your clients, and how quickly can you obtain transformation with someone?
Which clients are we talking about now? Are the corporate?
It's different, you say so.
Well, it depends. It depends a little bit. I mean, I mean, when I have clients, I do it. My personal clients, they tend to be usually virtual. So because they tend to be in the US or around the world. And so it can be interesting because sometimes there is, how quickly? It really depends. I mean, a good example is somebody that I think she was the most extreme example. This was a manager at KPMG many years ago. Actually, this was in Eastern Europe, in Budapest. So, and we were doing training, and every time she came into the room, she was very, very uptight and very tense, very controlled, very harsh, and not listening to me at all. And she was meant to be listening and trying to find out what's happening. And when I challenged her on it afterwards, she said, "Oh, no, I'm just trying to be professional." And so she had been taught that she had to be professional, and that meant not smiling too much, not feeling comfortable, not getting herself to relax, not to really let anything come in particularly, and not to enjoy herself. And so she was very sort of like, not like a human, but more like a robot. And so the funny thing was, her transformation was so quick. I just got her to, I mean,
you just needed a code line, a good code line.
well, with her, maybe that too, yes. But with her, I asked her basically, sometimes it's just a question. And I asked her, "What do you do for fun?" And at first she was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Come on, you must be doing something for fun." And then she said, "Well, I'm a sailing champion." And I was like, "Okay, tell me more." So she's apparently, on the weekends, she is an expert sailor. And when she started talking to me about it, she got all excited, friendly, happy, and enjoyed herself. And I mean, if she had seen herself on video, she would have been like, "That's a completely different person." And so I said to her, that this right now, that state that you're in, keep that. Don't change anything, and just come into the room again like that and have the meeting with me, okay? Just think of sailing, think you're on a sailing boat with me, and have the same conversation. She came in and she was like this completely different person, and she was the most extreme example of somebody. And afterwards, like, she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that I could be like this in a meeting." And it's almost like she had not given herself permission to be a person, a human person, being in a meeting with another colleague. And it was like one of the biggest changes I've ever seen in a person. That was like in a literally in like 10 seconds. It was almost like she gave herself permission. But it came through the associations, and associations are so powerful. I mean, I'm sure this is true for anybody.
So what is that point that gives you her sailing passions? The passion of sailing, but in your life.
I don't know, man. There's so many things. I think I do get excited when my things are maybe a little more ethereal sometimes. I do love anything. I get very excited with classical music. I get very excited with opera, okay? I've promised myself that for the rest of my life, whenever I see a Puccini opera advertised somewhere, I try to get a ticket or two. And I love introducing it to people because it's the thing that moves me most, I think. It has everything that, because I have a musical background as well. So I'm a violinist from the age of 4. So that is always something that I feel super sad for people that have never experienced certain music or never let that in, because I feel it just reaches parts of you that are I mean, that just becomes activated. If you never really let yourself get into it, maybe those things will never get activated, and that's really sad. But anyway, and other things are like anything that is really truly poetic. I get really excited about anything that to me is poetic. And by poetic, I don't mean necessarily that it has to have words, but I just mean it has to have a beauty about it, a human beauty. And I don't know whether that makes sense, but I know that's the word that it is for me. Once I did an exercise, what's that about for you? What's that about for you? And you trigger further and further what something is really about for you. And poetic was the word that came out. It could be something that somebody does. It could be something that you see. It could be something flying in the wind, you know.
Do you reveal this part of yourself playing violin in your YouTube videos?
Do I reveal it?
Mm-hmm.
You mean play?
Yes.
I really haven't found a vehicle for it yet, I think. I mean, it's interesting. I did make a video once where maybe I told a story about it, but I think no, actually I haven't much. No. Short answer is not much. I'm not hiding it consciously, but I guess I've failed to make it relevant to some of the topics I talk about. But
could it be a background to make more impact on some ideas that you are considering important? Or could it be just a part of getting the people that are watching to know you better?
Yeah, I mean, I think I sent an email out once to my newsletter subscribers, referring to the fact that I played the violin. Because actually, when I play the violin, and girls listen to me, they tend to, well, how can I put this? They tend to, well, it doesn't turn women off. Let's say it like that, okay? But basically, playing an instrument can be a great asset if you like. If you're a musician, for example, I think it's very attractive to people, and it can also make you more attractive to the opposite sex, which maybe is a reason why, apart from the social proof, why musicians are often seen as quite attractive, even if they're not that good looking.
It's an emotional connection. So would you use it in a business medium or in a business video? Or would you choose to consider your audience and use only this emotional connection with, I don't know, more emotional, let's say, actor trainings or...
You mean what would I use my? Would I play?
Playing,
would I use
yes,
my violin
playing an instrument.
Would I use that in a video?
Business environment?
I don't know. I mean, probably not not that I can think of, because I'm not sure how I would, what the purpose would be. What made you ask that?
Or letting this aside, what I thought about is was your question about my audience when when we put together this conversation, and you were in that analytical mind state.
Oh yes.
And I see both sides of you now, and maybe not playing the instrument, but maybe emotionally addressing your audience. Would you consider it for the business area? Or
emotionally addressing? Yes, I think yes. It's a bit weird. I mean, when it comes to companies and the training that companies usually want for their employees or managers, they tend to be very, what's the word? Like very analytically minded. And so in a way, when you do work with people, I bring people, I raise people's awareness of their state and their emotions with them directly, but you can't necessarily very often create a program that's focusing on these things too much, because the HR department will want you to put a lot of analytical tools in there usually. And so yes, you can do things on emotional intelligence, but even then sometimes it feels like you have to then dress it up with a lot of intelligent sounding methods and models. And so I often feel at times there is this sort of overwhelm of models that are being thrown at people when it comes to corporate training, which is sometimes a bit of a pity because I feel it overwhelms people here, but whether they actually ever use them fully and experience the benefits of them emotionally and physically is another question. I'm not sure that's answering your questions, but I do feel very often it's people's emotions or their way of relating to people that can get in the way of them being successful as managers.
Okay. And now about your voiceover experience, I'm very curious to know if you have some habits, rituals to keeping fit your voice, to warm up your voice, to obtain voiceover success.
Well, I think I'm just getting back into a few habits that really help me, and I think anybody would benefit from this. I do. Let me see. When I got started, I was working a lot on my English accent, and I had a voice teacher, and I was driving myself crazy and all that. And from that time, I have a few like sections of text which practice your consonants and your vowels and your diphthongs. Diphthongs are the things like ow and, but you know these, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ow and oi and stuff like that. And some of these sounds, and this is always the interesting thing about languages, when you speak a second language, you've grown up using your voice for one language, but then in the new language, you have very different sounds. And so your voice is not used to making those sounds. And so even when you practice making those sounds, they still don't seem to resonate in your voice as much as your natural sounds. So that's why people, when they speak in a second language, very often don't sound as well resonated and maybe not as powerful as they would in their own languages, even if they've been living in another country for a long time. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's certainly my experience. So I just found this back again. This is a page with sort of basically exercises. The first one is entitled Exercises for the Tongue. Next one is Exercises for the Soft Palate and the Back of the Tongue. Consonant exercises and exercises for the lips, and then some tongue twisters. So the sentences like exercises for the tongue, for example, it starts like, leave the lazy line alone. If you delay longer, we are likely to be late. So we're practicing the L sound, right? The dull light from the candle burns slowly in the lamp. And then when you have exercises for the lips, you have like, pass the pens and pencils, please. Packing pickles poses problems. Apparently the representative is appealing for support. And so you can, if you do this every morning, anybody that wants to speak more clearly, but also to enjoy speaking more, this really helps, because once you do this and you get yourself to enjoy it, it's weird when your voice sounds like it's in the right place and it's resonating all over. It also gives you confidence, actually. It gives you a sense of, oh, I actually enjoy speaking because I sound good. However, when you're like, so in England, other people are speaking a bit like this, and you think, and your voice makes how you feel, and it's really interesting. That's just one of those things, again, where your voice affects your state affects your your feelings. Your feelings affect your thinking, and round it goes. And so working on your voice every day, on your consonants and your vowels, is a really great idea. I can recommend it. There's a great book called The Voice Book by Michael McCallion for anybody that wants to practice their English consonants, vowels, and diphthongs. It's got a number of pages where basically it gives you text that you can practice, and it's kind of entertaining to say out loud as well, but it's very good. And so I've been doing that. And when I do it every day, I just sound better and I'm enjoying myself more speaking.
Thank you. So, what is the point that you're most proud, your achievement that you are most proud of in your life?
I think, okay, I guess maybe I'm most proud of having created 4 programs that have transformed thousands of men's lives. That's probably, I'm most proud of that. That's the one thing where I think I've had the most impact on people. Obviously, the business overall, you know, the YouTube channel has been doing great. So it's quite amazing when you think that my videos have been viewed like 25 million times. That's a lot of people somewhere in the world. But really the programs, it's really where I think the most transformation has been happening. And I'm not even like a massive YouTuber. I'm not even a massive sort of guru or anything, but even just to know that, you know, the people that have had them have had real changes in their lives makes a real difference. So I'm proud of that. I've always wanted to be useful in some way. At the same time, I'm lazy, but I like being useful too. So
How do you choose on what to focus in order to have the feeling of accomplishment and not to spread in many directions? Or if you can spread in many directions, what's the secret of doing simultaneously all those things?
Well, the secret would be that you would be good at building a team and outsourcing or delegating certain things, and then you would be incredibly effective at doing many different things. So if you want to learn that from somebody, ask somebody else, because
Okay.
I'm not very good at it. But if you do ask somebody else and they tell you some useful things, I would love to hear more. Because that's my next challenge this year, to be honest, to
So
build more of a useful team.
You do it on sequence, those many directions that you are going into?
I think my biggest challenge in life is that I have too many ideas and too many areas that I could be. I mean, I would love to be a film director. I would love to be an actor. I would love to be a full-time voiceover. I would love to be a full-time online entrepreneur. I would love to do this. I would love to do that. I would love to be a travel vlogger.
Do you see yourself settling in for something? One thing?
No, I guess not.
How do you see? How do you?
I like the flexibility. Maybe I like the flexibility. I like. I mean, I like. But this is for all of us. I don't think that anybody these days is like, oh, I mean, unless you really reach the heights of the thing that you're doing, and it's also the thing that you truly love, then yes. But I think for many people, the ability to switch directions, once you have learned a set of skills, like for example, the skill to develop a business, to create an audience, to kind of to find an audience, to attract them to a message that you have about it. Once you have that skill, I guess you have a flexibility in your life where you can switch to something else once you have, talked about something enough. But I quite like the flexibility. At the same time, sometimes, of course, you wish that you'd only done one thing and you had achieved the most amazing success in one area, and everybody knows you for that one thing. That's another way of going. But it didn't happen to me with the acting, I guess. And I guess I was too shy and not business savvy enough when I started. And so that's why I never became that very well-known, successful actor that can live off that. And so I had to adjust, and I changed, and that's how that happened.
How do you see yourself in 20 years?
Oh, I definitely will be living in a warm climate. Probably by the things are going, by the way things are going, probably somewhere in East Asia, just because it's my favorite part of the world. It's even overtaken Mauritius now, where I used to go a lot because my ex-girlfriend used to live there. So, but Mauritius is nice too. If the world is still in one piece and not completely flooded yet, then East Asia or somewhere else that's warm.
And doing what?
I think I'll be, that's an interesting question. This is turning into a coaching session now.
Not my intent.
So yes, that's an interesting one. I don't know, actually. That's the wrong answer, I guess, for this one. But that's just what it is. I'm not very. I'm struggling to think too far into the future. I've become quite good at being in the moment, which has always used to be my biggest struggle. I was always in the past or in the future. Now I'm quite good at being in the moment, but I can't think that far ahead. I like options, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It will be a discovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm alive. That's the main thing. Hopefully I'm alive and healthy. Everything else.
I wish you would be, and we all get together to talk about it.
Hopefully in 20 years.
Yes.
In 20 years, we can ask ourselves that question again.
Thank you, Stephan. And to finish our interview, I would like to challenge you to complete the sentence, me, Stephan, I am, with only one word.
Me, so with one word. I am. Can I use two?
Please.
I am a seeker. Or you could say I'm curious.
Beautiful. I wish you find what you are seeking for, and you spread it and share it to the world in trainings and coaching and transformational programs. And we will keep close and watch your activity and maybe learn about what you're doing and learn from it. So if you found something interesting, something practical, something insightful in this discussion, please click the link and donate for the hospitals in Romania. I am very glad to have had this conversation with you, Stephan, and hope to see you soon and to be well and to catch up. You said you have you will have a webinar in the end of the week.
Yes.
And you will give us the link to follow and to what's about the webinar.
Yes, it's a I'm basically ahead of it's for people that want to start a side business or find another way of sharing their knowledge. let's say you're in a job and you want to find another way of maybe develop an income, but also at the same time, like what I said earlier, the idea of like doing something you're happy with and proud of, and at the same time making money doing that, which is basically what I've been doing. And so I'm teaching people how my business works on this webinar, because right now, obviously, so many people are either worried about their job, or they're unemployed, or they were made unemployed, or they're struggling, or they're thinking, oh my God, I never want to be in this situation again, that I don't have any money coming in. So I think starting something on the side is so easy when you're using YouTube and online and your knowledge. So that's what I'm basically sharing with people and teaching on this webinar. And I'm doing a rerun because the first one was great, but there were still some people that couldn't make it at that time. So this Saturday at 3 p.m. British Summer Time, I'm doing that. And we can put a link somewhere, and then people can join. And I'm not selling anything on that webinar.
Okay.
It's completely just sharing information
knowledge.
and sharing
we
story.
appreciate it, and
Giving a case study, basically.
We will give people the link in the description of this post.
Great.
Thank you so much, Stephan. Have a nice day in London, and let's keep it close and working.
Thank you, Raluca. It's been a pleasure having you, talking to you, and thank you for having me. And yes, thanks.
You're welcome, and it was a pleasure for me.
Bye-bye.